Right. And some of it can be scary. And
Absolutely.
especially when I started doing the interior, I kind of just put it in my mind that you're probably going to have to end up not only spending money for the part, but you might have to spend some money on replacing the part after you break it. Because anytime you pull those panels off, it once you learn those clips and understand how it comes off, it's easier. But the first time when you pull one off, you think you're absolutely breaking everything, right?
It sounds like
And
you are, yeah.
yeah, and the first mod, how I got started doing the interior, because that wasn't my plan. I just wanted to change out the seatbelts. So I just had the black seatbelts for the 2LZ, and I saw that Paragon had come out with different colors, but then I just went to the dealership and got them the tension blue ones to go on that white, which looked amazing. And I watched a video that Brandon did on changing his seatbelts, and he made it look a lot easier than it is because it is not easy. And I pulled off one of the panels, and I mean, I destroyed the whole thing. It's just
Yeah.
you destroy it pulling it off because all the clips end up breaking, and those clips to buy new ones, they're $10 a piece, and then it's just exhausting. And then to get to this seatbelt, blah blah. Long story short, so I broke the panel, and then at that point, I just decided, well, if I'm going to have to replace it anyway, why don't I just get the white suede? And then that turned into, well, you got to do, the center part of it. You got to do the roof. You got to do and then it turned into everything. And but to your point, I'm not mechanically inclined. I'm not, I'm not Brandon. I mean, he's amazing at this stuff, but it, if you have the confidence to try to do it, when you start to kind of pull it apart, it's not that difficult. I mean,
Right.
it's not that difficult.
You'll figure it out as long as you have the confidence to get into it. But one of the videos I did whenever I was first installing the Eventuri on my black 23 Z06, after one of the first steps, of course, is removing the stock airbox. And once I got that out, it was really hard to film the process of removing those back bolts. But once I got it out, I stopped the video and I was like, listen, it's going to look like this was pretty easy on video. I want you to know this was not easy. Those back bolts took me probably 2 hours to get those things out. And it doesn't make sense until you realize that all this stuff was put together and then the engine was put into the car. Then it makes sense where those back bolts are at, because otherwise they are not in a good place. So I wanted people to know that it's not, horribly difficult, but it is going to take some time to get those bolts off.
Right. And it's like, it kind of like the interior when I was pulling it apart. I'm like, well, that dash wasn't there when they put this piece in. And now I'm trying to pull a piece off that is after the fact. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't know if you've ever seen that squirrel garage, like that guy
Squirrel Cage,
from
yeah, Ken. I'm
Kid.
I'm good friends with Ken too. Yep.
And okay, and we're gonna be doing something with him coming up. I watched a lot of his videos so I could just see how to pull. I'm like, why is this guy pulling apart his entire interior of his car?
Yep.
Like, what is wrong with this guy? But I
Nah,
learned,
he's a good dude.
yeah, he is, and I learned so much from just watching him, and it, a lot of YouTube too, and your videos and those videos is just, you can learn so much, and it did give me the confidence to do a lot of stuff. Now I have the inventory too. That's above my pay grade. I don't want to mess with it because I just don't. So I had someone install it, especially cutting the carpet and things like that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. So I did have that done, and I mean, it's amazing. I had one on my other car too. So, and I was thinking about that when we were setting this up. Do you have any regrets selling your black one? Like, was there things about it? Or are you like, it's so fun to start over again?
It honestly, the way that the whole thing worked is a subscriber offered me a lot of money for it. And I thought, okay, I've kind of done everything I can do with this car anyway. I'll take the money. I'll sit on it until I can get a ZR1 allocation, and that will put me in a good spot financially. So, I said, yeah. So then he sent me a check to pay the car off. And while we were waiting for that to clear so I could get him the title, that was about 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, my car sat in my driveway and I couldn't drive it because, it was paid off by this guy. And the last thing I would need to do is drive it and wreck it or something stupid. So it sat there for 2 weeks. So I didn't drive it for 2 weeks. But then the day that the title came in and him and I went to the notary and signed it over, that same day, 4 hours later, I was signing the papers on another Z06 because a combination of regretting of selling it, missing driving it, and knowing that I could get a different color, the Seawolf Gray 25 is the last year for it, and I've always liked that color, and I knew I can't get that on a ZR1 now, so maybe I can grab this one that I found locally, and I got it for a really good price, and I thought, yeah, I'll redo the mods and do some things a little bit differently, and I'll probably keep it this time because the Z06 is such a different car from the ZR1 that I feel like you could own both and appreciate both differently. So I don't know that I'd say I regret it, but I definitely missed it after I sold it.
Right. Yeah, well, I was surprised, when I heard, but then, like you said, you went into the dealership and were driving the Seawolf Gray one, like, it seemed like an hour later, So, uh, speaking of that, the ZR1, do you have an allocation? Are you getting that car?
I will have an allocation. I had a first round allocation and I passed on it because at the time they were saying that there was not going to be any ZTK packages, and I'm a big wing guy. I want the ZTK package on that car. So when they said no ZTK, I said okay, I'll pass because I didn't realize that the 25s were only going to be a 1 round car. I thought I'd get another 2 or 3 rounds out of it. So when I passed, somebody else jumped in my spot, and then it was like 2 or 3 days later they said, "Oh yeah, we have some wings laying around, by the way." And I'm like, "Great, I could have gotten it after all." But after that, I was told I'll have to wait for his 26 at this point. I'm like, that's fine. I'll get the new interior. It'll feel a little bit newer to me. W- Long story short, yeah, I should have one pretty soon here, actually.
Okay, that's awesome. And then no ZR1X, like, is that
No, I'm not a hybrid guy. Like the same thing with the E-Ray. Um, yeah, I get a lot of flack on my Monday Night Live videos because everybody talks about how I hate E-Rays. I don't hate E-Rays. I think an E-Ray fits really nicely into the C8 lineup. I personally think it could have been priced a little bit less than it is, but at the end of the day, I think it's a great car for those who want more of a grand touring car, more of a car you can drive, across country in, but still look good. I've always been a, stiff suspension, high revving engine kind of guy. I like that stuff. So the E-Ray's not for me. And honestly, the ZR1X isn't for me just because I don't want the extra weight on the front of the car. And I don't trust battery technology enough to think that that front motor is going to do anything positively for the car.
right? Yeah. So one of the first videos I did was the E-Ray versus Z06 with Jesse, and we filmed that. And we're actually at the end of this month going to do a part two of that. But to be honest, I mean, I think the E-Ray, I have respect for it. I like the car, but it doesn't do anything for my soul like the Z06. And
Exactly.
I just watch a lot of these videos and people dogging the Z06 and is it dead or no one's buying it. I'm like, if none of those people, I feel again, this is me feeling. I feel like, have you ever even driven one? Are you just like going in?
So there's one person, one YouTube channel in particular that I know does that a lot. The, they were also ones that were a big pusher of E-Ray and loved the E-Ray. Just any chance this person got, they were talking about how the E-Ray was better than a Z06. Whenever I see that kind of stuff, I can't help but think, all right, you're trying to justify your purchase to the point of putting down the car that is better. And in my opinion, better at least. And that's the thing is it's like Chevy themselves slot the Z06 above the E-Ray, not below it, not beside it, above it. So you're telling me that you think the E-Ray is so much better than a Z06. Why doesn't Chevy think that? Chevy built the car. And I mean, I've driven both. I can tell you without a doubt, the E-Ray is a great car. It's a fast car. It is not a Z06, nor will it ever be. You could mod that thing to 1,500 horsepower. You still don't have what the Z06 has. You don't have the better aero package, which, yeah, you could add, arguably. You don't have that flat plane crank engine that is built for track use. You don't have the stiffer Z07 style suspension that's built for track use. These are the things you're missing a lot of this kind of stuff on an E-Ray for specifically for track use, which is the kind of car that I like. I like the car that you can rip around corners and it's going to stay planted. The E-Ray, Yeah, maybe it'll stay planted to some degree, but you're going to feel a lot more flex. I did. The second I drove it off the parking lot, I could feel more flex in the whole suspension than you do in a Z06. And I immediately felt the extra weight in the front end because of that hybrid motor. That's stuff I don't want. I strip weight out of my car as it is, not to the extent that Brandon does, but I like to strip weight out of the car in a way that doesn't really affect anything on the car. Like if you look at my car, you wouldn't be able to tell that it weighs less, significantly less than another Z07 car because everything I've done to it, it doesn't look like I've lost anything. Whereas like with Brandon, he's changed his seats. He pulls his passenger side seat out. He's pulled out the front. You're going to be able to tell immediately this guy's going for, low weight. On mine, everything still operates and functions the way it should, but I'm down over 120 pounds on that car. So it's, I don't know. It's just, that's my opinion on it. But I think the people that really push hard on the E-Ray being the better car, and if you ever notice, you never see a guy with a Z06 saying that about an E-Ray. It's only the E-Ray guys saying it about the Z06 because they're trying to justify their purchase.
Right. And again, I've driven both. To me, I heard one person, well, it's too loud inside. Yes, it's amazing. Like, were you
Supposed to
kidding
be.
me? Like, why do you have this car? If like, I don't get it. So, and then, I mean, don't get me started with these people who think that Stingray is as good as a Z06 on the track, but that, yep, that's a whole nother conversation.
We
Yeah,
actually talked about that on Monday Night Live 2 nights ago. That was Corey that said that from Paragon. But I do. Me and David kind of dissected that quite a bit. I'm good friends with Corey. I think Corey's a great person. He's one of the best guys to work at Paragon. Well, they're all really good over there. But ultimately, I think what he was really doing was two things. Number one, he is trying to grow his brand and everything. So I think he was kind of uh, rage baiting a little bit to get more interaction. But also, he goes on to clarify that what he's really talking about is their heavily modified C8 Stingray being a better car than a stock Z06 on the track. For that, I would agree to some degree. If you're talking stock for stock, not a chance. There's nothing about this Stingray that's better than a Z06 on the track.
yeah. And so in my past, I never had an American car. I had R8s, I've had a Huracan, I've had Porsches, and I tell people hands down, the Z06 is the best car I've ever owned. I mean, I'm sorry, it just is. And especially for the price of what you're getting, it's just amazing that, there's still this debate, the validity of the car. I'm just like, go drive one. And I
Right.
promise you, I've driven all of them, for the most part. It is just better. I'm sorry, it's just better. And then I can drive it and feel confident that if something happens, I don't have to sell my house to get it fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. So I don't know. When people start putting down the Z06 and, oh, the Z06 is dead because the ZR1, like, okay, first of all, how many people are spending 250,000 on a
Yeah.
car? I
I was gonna
mean,
say the price difference is gonna keep the Z06 alive. And honestly, I've driven the same kind of cars. I've driven I actually have a video of me in a Huracan racing Street Speed, who was driving my C7ZR1 at the time. And my C7ZR1 hands the Huracan the loss easily, and I did not enjoy driving that car in the slightest. So, I mean, I've driven a lot of high performance cars, and I will say to your point, the Z06 is one of the best cars I've ever driven. I would say easily in the top four best cars I've ever driven. And for the price, no brainer. For the cost of maintenance, no brainer. I mean, I can get an oil change in my Z06 if I do it myself, well under $200. A Huracan, $1,500 to $2,000 to change the
it's,
oil. It's insane. The difference in cost of maintenance is absolutely insane. And I've changed my transmission filter. I've changed the oil on the C8Z06. On my C701, I changed the oil, transmission fluid, differential fluid, all of these things. And they don't take any kind of, rocket science degrees to figure this stuff out. These are easy cars to maintain.
yeah. And yes. Yeah. Well, we'll skip past that. But so how I started this journey is I purchased a 70th anniversary 2023 Stingray. And again, first time, I never thought in my life I'd ever own a Corvette ever. But I just fell in love with the C8. So I got this 70th anniversary. The interior was amazing. You know, it's all suede. And I loved it. I loved it. And then the Z06 came out. And I was living in Austin at the time. People were asking 60, 70 over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy. And so I never thought anything of it. I moved back to Houston. It was the end of 2023, even though the car was a 2024. I found a dealer that had one. They were only asking 15 over at the time, and it was the exact color combination I wanted. My Stingray was carbon flash metallic, and then I pull up and I'm like, it kind of just looks the same in a way. And then you see the wide body and you're like, okay, well, maybe.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got in it and started it and drove it,
Totally
I
different.
tell people it's not even the same car. I don't care
Yeah.
if you think it's a Corvette, it's not. It's just a different car. And I don't know, it just amazes me. There's a lot of people with opinions who've never lived with the car, who've never owned the car, and it just I don't know. It just sometimes it frustrates me, and then I'm just like, "Who cares?" You know, because I'm just like, you know.
It is frustrating because only because you realize how awesome the car is, and you know that if this person actually spent some time with it, that they'd feel the same way. And I mean, I have basically the same story. My 2020 Stingray I bought pretty early in 2020. I loved that car. It was such a great car for about 6 months. Afterwards, I was bored with it. I was ready to be done. And when they announced the Z06, I went to a dealership to actually look at it in person and everything before you could actually buy them, when they did the dealer tours. And I'm looking over the car. Every single complaint I had about the Stingray, they fixed with the Z06, every one of them. I felt that the car should have been wider, should have been lower, should have had more aero, should have been a little bit more aggressive to drive. I wanted a stiffer riding car. The Stingray rode like a Cadillac. I wanted a stiffer riding car, what felt like a stiffer suspension and chassis, louder. The very first thing I did with my 2020 Stingray was try to make it louder because it wasn't loud enough. The Z06 literally fixed all of my complaints with this Stingray. And I've now owned the Z06, if you count both cars together, for over 2 years, and I don't plan on getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, my wife, after I sold mine, she's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, and I have, all the plaque, the car plaques that you get when you buy one,
Yeah.
I have them sent, and I like took it down. I couldn't even stand looking at it anymore because I'm like, I can't, why did I get rid of this thing? Like it's crazy. Um, all right, I've taken up a lot of your time. I wanted to ask last question, and I wanted to show you something. But what's probably your most favorite mod that you've done to your Z06? Like, what is your thing that you're like, every time you see it, you're like, "That's awesome."
So, interestingly enough, it would probably be the wheels.
Yeah,
So,
that's funny, yeah.
the thing that I almost didn't do is the thing that I love the most.
Yeah, that's funny. So, 2 things. A, the steering wheel, I'm glad, thank you for doing that because I definitely, copied it and did it because it looks so awesome. That's one thing that I definitely missed. But another thing that you did, and I reached out to these people because I wanted these, but I never cared about the engine until you did, like, the strut brackets, and you showed, like, how bad the ones from the factory look, and they
Yeah.
get discolored and everything.
Yeah.
So, I did reach out to that company that you
Oh, look
were
at
talking
that.
about,
That's nice.
that Jones, Services, and the guy is
Yep.
super nice,
He's a real
super
nice
nice.
guy.
And I had these made because I saw the ones you had made for you, and I'm gonna get ready to install these. And I told him I would, thank him on this and tell you that because of you, I got these. But what a cool mod this is! I mean, what a cool thing! And this is kind of, one of my favorite things that. Oops, sorry. One of my favorite things that I've done and that I'm doing in my car. So I just wanted to thank you for doing this and demonstrating this and giving the information on where to get it. Because I mean, that's half the battle. Some of these people like show stuff and you're like,
Yep.
that's cool. Where do you get it? And so
Yep.
followed your link, went, talked to the guy, told him I saw it on your channel and he made these for me. And I'm super excited to get these things installed. They are a little heavy, I will say
Yeah.
that. Uh,
They're not a Brandon approved mod, I can tell you that
well,
much.
ironically, I told Brandon about it, and he's like, "Well,
Yeah.
how much do they weigh?" And I'm like,
Yeah. They're
"They
heavy.
they weigh about 3 more pounds per
Yep.
than the stock." So he's like,
So
"Well."
the big thing with that is number one, yours look amazing there. I've reached out to him and him and I are supposed to be making another set for my car now because the red ones I had went with my black car. I'm gonna get Seawolf gray bars that are filled in black like yours are there. Um, but the big thing to remember with these is yes, they weigh more, but that also adds to structural rigidity. So suspension wise, everything will be tighter and more full. So I don't know if you've seen the stock ones yet. When you take those off, they're literally made out of like tin, like
No,
the thinnest metal I've ever seen.
yeah.
So
I
yeah, you're gonna love those.
I took one off just to see it, and like you were saying, definitely put a towel on your engine so you don't smack it, because you
Yep,
have to, like,
it's close.
r really get these things out of there. I took it off. Honestly, it looked like the car was built, and then after the fact, they came and, like, someone spray painted a piece of, like, cheap metal and just threw it on there. I couldn't
Yep.
believe, like, I couldn't
It
believe that was the factory.
it might not be that far from the truth when you look at like my bars I showed in the video were stained, and I thought maybe it was something I'm using to wash my car, but I doubt it because I'm very very conscious on what I put on that car for because of my PPF and ceramic coating. You don't want to use anything even remotely acidic, and that's really the only thing that would stain something like that would be some sort of acid. But if you look at any C8, I could go on YouTube and find you probably 5 examples of someone showing their engine bay. They're all stained like that. And actually, the ZR1 that they had on display down at the National Corvette Museum, the NCM Bash this past year, brand new ZR1. I highly doubt it's ever even seen the weather. Their bars were stained. So it's like something's up with the bar they're using from factory.
Yeah, it is weird. And I do recommend it. I don't know if you had this, but I got the titanium appearance bolts to put on everything just because the ones from the factory, I swear, I was looking at one bolt, it was fine. Another bolt looked like someone spray painted it.
There are two different kind of coatings on them. I've noticed that too.
It,
Yeah.
it is the
One's like a
strangest.
One's almost like a textured it almost looks like bed liner on one, and then the other one's
Right,
just black.
right.
I, the problem with doing that is I also have an X brace, and where the X brace bolts into, I need a specifically longer bolt. I haven't found a titanium bolt long enough that will go through there, but once I do, I would dress that up too, yeah.
Yeah, there's just, and I had this conversation, I had it with Brandon. I literally, the one good thing about a Corvette in the C8 community is anything you can dream up. Like, if you see something on your car, I'm like, "I wonder if they make an aftermarket piece for that." They
They
have
do.
it. It's amazing.
The big thing about the C8 over the C7, that was the biggest thing, is that the aftermarket for the C8 is probably 50 times the size of what it was for the C7.
Yeah, it is. It's really crazy. Well, hey, man, I really, really appreciate you coming on with me. I'll get, everything together and get it over to you, but I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy, and, this is exciting for me, and, hopefully in the future we can do something else. And I talked to
Absolutely.
Brandon a lot. We're gonna be doing something, together. Again, great honor. And again, I go back to the beginning. I really appreciate when I kind of first started you responding to me and, kind of, watching some of my stuff and just, commenting it.
Yeah,
It means a lot.
um, quick story about that. You could put this in if you want, it doesn't matter, but, whenever I first started, I did the same thing. I reached out to a couple of the bigger YouTubers that I, you know, idolized to some degree. Not one of them got back to me, not one single one, and that was something from the very beginning. I said, "I'm not gonna do that." Like, if people want my help, Brandon and David reached out to me whenever they were, like, very small. They had, like, 100 subs or something. I I made sure to answer any questions I could for him, give him any kinda tips I could because I want you guys to be successful, you know? Like, I'd love to see you have 10,000 subs next time I look. I think that's awesome. Because you grow, I grow, we can grow together. This whole YouTube thing can be a group effort.
Right. And that's one thing I like about Brandon so much is he's always promoting my videos. He's always doing stuff. I'm always mentioning him in a lot of my videos because I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to compete against anybody. We're all kind of doing the same stuff. And, more heads are better than one, and it is not easy. I mean, people think, like I said, I mean, we're just dreaming up content. You know how hard it is to come up with content all the time on a weekly basis to film? It's just people don't get how hard it is. They think, again, like I was reiterating, we just put a camera up and a microphone and here's a video. You know how much work goes into these videos, the editing, the this, the that. And I don't know. I just appreciate it. I appreciate people who are doing it that want to collab and do stuff because, you realize this is not just for nothing. This actually means something. And, again, I really appreciate it. I appreciate Brandon. I appreciate all the people that really kind of got behind me and helped. And, but it means a lot. And I just wanted to thank you personally, like now that we're face to face about that. And so, yeah, hopefully the next time we talk, we're doing another something together, a collab or something on Brandon. Cause I think it would be really cool and to feed off each other and all the things that we're experiencing with these cars that we love.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm down for that. Just let me know.
All right, man. I really appreciate it, Justin. Thanks again.
Yeah, no problem.